Hi friends, it's Bonnie from Let's Create. And in this little tutorial, I'm going to show you how to paint this fun little gnome here. He's available on our website at letscreatewithbonnie.com. And all of the pattern for him is already on the piece of wood for you. Now I've already painted his beard white. And I'm gonna give his hat and his jacket a coat of paint here of this pretty blue. So as I'm base coating this, you want to get a nice, even, consistent base coat of paint. This is acrylic paint that I'm using. And just go right along those guidelines, those paint guidelines. They're so wonderful. They're already on there for you, so you don't have to add a pattern. Just lay your brush down nice and flat. Now, if you're seeing any hills and peaks and valleys or anything in your paint, you might have too much paint on your brush. You want it to be a nice, level, consistent layer of paint for your base coat. Let's go around this little patch here that's on his hat. We're going to make that a different color. So we're just going to go around the outside edge of that. And you may need to do 2 coats of paint. If the first coat is not dark enough, if it looks a little transparent to you, go ahead and put a second coat of paint on him. I do have him turned here, sorry. Hopefully that looks okay for you. Such a pretty color of blue. It is definitely one of my favorite colors. And again, I'm painting right on top of these etched lines. They're still gonna show up after you put a little bit of paint on them, so that, like this one here on his arm, it'll still be there as a guideline for you. We're just going to base coat this in and kind of block in these colors. And I usually recommend use the largest brush that you're comfortable with. If you use a teeny tiny little brush, it's going to give you a whole lot of brush strokes, which will show in your finished project. Looks like he has little mittens, doesn't he, for his hands there. Get a little bit more paint. So he is a kit that's available right now, and he would be really cute. I know these are nice summer colors that I'm painting him, but if you want him to look a little bit more seasonal for the holidays or Christmas, you could certainly make him red. You could paint him with cute fall colors, and then you can just stick any kind of a decoration on there where his hands are. So if you want to put a pumpkin on there, a little Christmas tree or a wreath would be really cute too. There's so many possibilities that you can do with this little gnome. Even for the summer, you could put some flowers on there. You can put, I'm going to turn him around here real quick. You can have him like kind of hold a flag. You can put that on there. And instead of gluing something so that it's not permanent, I would use some fun tack, or like, we call it fun tack. You know, it's kind of like what you would we used to use to hang a poster up. So it's kind of sticky, but it's removable. All right, this little part here I do want to be blue. I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller brush. I'm going to paint his nose. And I'm going to paint his hands too. So if you want him to look more Christmassy, you can make his hands a different color so that they do look a little bit more like mittens for him. I'm actually going to paint them kind of a flesh color, the same color as his nose, because I do want them to look like hands instead of looking like mittens. I'm going to make the little pom-pom here yellow on the end of his hat. And I'm going to have that match his little patch that's in his hat, that's on his hat also. And last, I'm gonna paint his shoes black. You could make them brown or any kind of color that you would like. want to add a few kind of like highlights and shine marks on my little gnome. So I'm going to mix with my brush. I'm going to mix some, I'm going to show you here. I'm going to just pick up some black here and I'm going to mix some white with it. Mix up a little bit of gray. Now if you have gray, you can just use that. The kit comes with black and white though. And we're just going to put a few little highlights. We're going to start with some shade marks on his hat here and on his beard. And again, there's etch marks that are on your wood. So if it's easier for you just to follow those, you can totally do that. Here's one. Put a little shade mark on there. Put a little one over here. And if you're not sure how many little lines to put on it, just start with a few and kind of take a look at it and see if you're happy with that. If you want to, add a little bit more, you can do that then. And that was the gray color. Now I'm going to come back with just regular white and do the same thing, but I'm not going to cover up the gray that I just did. I'm just going to add a little bit of white additionally to it. Just kind of a little bit of white highlights just on the blue here. So I'm putting the white kind of beside the gray. And we're going to add a little bit of a white shine, one on each one of his shoes there. Let's put a little bit down here too. And then I want to add some white dots to his little patch. And there you go. He is all finished. See how easy he is to make? Just a nice base coat with a few extra little highlights and shading marks on him, and he's good to go. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed this, be sure to check out my other painting tutorials that I have on my Let's Create with Bonnie. Thank you.